ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are doing verse number 22 from chapter 5. It's the 35th verse in our series of 108 verses. 522. Ye hi samsparsha ja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. An intelligent person does not partake in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, so the wise man does not delight in them. Let's do the practice of recitation. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga. Dukkha yonaya evate. Dukkha yonaya evate. Dukkha yonaya evate. Adiyantavanta kaunteya. Adiyantavanta kaunteya. Adiyantavanta kaunteya. Na teshu ramate buddhaha. Na teshu ramate buddhaha. Na teshu ramate buddhaha. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. Yehi samsparsha cha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adiyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddhaha. What meaning? Ye, those, he, certainly. Samsparsha ja. Samsparsha means having come in contact. Sparsha means touch. So having come in contact with what? The senses. Ja, they give birth to bhoga, enjoyments. So when the senses, they come in contact with sense objects, that gives to some kind of pleasure, some kind of happiness, some enjoyment is there. But Krishna says, dukkha yonaya evate, such pleasures, they end up in giving misery to one. They end up in giving troubles, pain to one. Dukkha yonaya, distress, dukkha means distress, yonaya means source of, evate, certainly, they are certainly the sources of distress. Moreover, there's another characteristic of such happiness or pleasure. Adi antavantaha. Adi means it has a beginning. Well, everything has a beginning, but antavantaha, it is subject to end. Very soon it will finish. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, that's why what one should do, na teshu ramate. One should never take delight in such activities. Who should not? Buddha, the intelligent person. So one who is intelligent should not delight in such experiences where the sense objects come in contact with the senses, and that gives rise to some kind of enjoyment or pleasure. So let's do the exercise. You all know what has to be done now. Please raise your hand and try to find out the missing words. Yehi, Priyarani Mataji.
Yehi samsparsha bhoga.
Very good. Yehi samsparsha bhoga. Next, dukkha yone evate adi antavanta akshagar.
Yehi sparsha bhoga dukkayonaya evanti adi antavantai konte na.
Very good. Adi antavanta konteya na teshu dash buddha. Gita communication Mataji.
Nateshu ramate buddha.
Na teshu ramate buddha. Very good. Next, Arti Mataji.
Yehi samsparsha bhoga.
Yehi samsparsha bhoga. Dash yone evate Priyarani Mataji.
I forgot.
Dukkha yonaya eva.
Ha, dukkha ha. Sorry.
No problem. Adi, Gita communication, Mataji. Adi,
Hare Krishna. Adyantavantah kaunteya.
very good. Adi antavanta kaunteya. Last, Dairupa Mataji.
Nateshu ramate buddha.
Nadeshu ramate buddha. Very good. Okay. So once more, let's try. If anyone can find out the entire line, missing line, or even the entire shloka, you can please try. Gita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yehi samsparsha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha.
Very good. Arati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yehi samsparsha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate.
Adi antavanta
Adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha.
Very good. Okay. Anyone else wants to try? If not the entire verse, maybe a part of it. Akshar Prabhu.
Yehi sparsha bhoga dukkayonaya evati adi antavanteya adi antavantah konteya na te suramate buddha.
Very good. There, Mataji.
Yehi samsparsha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. It's just 2 lines, Babuji.
No problem. Okay. Anyone else wants to try? All right, fine. So, where is happiness, or is it happiness? Well, this verse talks about, now there are different levels of happiness, different kinds of happiness. So this verse talks about the happiness that is born of the senses coming in contact with the sense objects. There is happiness on physical level, happiness on mental level, happiness on intellectual level, and happiness on spiritual platform. So this happiness which is being spoken of in this verse is happiness on physical platform, where the senses, they come in contact with the sense objects. Means eyes, they come in contact with an object of form, ears come in contact with an object of sound, tongue comes in contact with taste, the hand or the skin comes in contact with touch, the nose comes in contact with smell. And because of these sensations, there is some kind of pleasure. That pleasure stimulates us, excites us. But the problem with that pleasure is that pleasure ends up in pain or distress. The same thing which gives us pleasure will not be giving us pleasure all the time. It will become a source of distress when the environment is going to change, when the senses are not going to look at those objects in that way. Like just a simple example, in the summer season we might take bath with cold water. Now the same cold water, it's the same cold water and it's the same skin which we have. In the winter season, when they come in contact with each other, that brings a lot of pain or distress. In winter season, we may take a hot water bath, then the same hot water and the same skin in summer season, when they come in contact with each other, that again becomes a source of distress. So we can see that the same thing, same person can become a source of distress or pleasure depending on so many other factors, external factors. That's why such happiness ends up in distress. It's not always happiness. And second thing, even if it is happiness or pleasure, then Krishna says it's not for long time. It is very short-lived. It is just like coming and going. Adi antavantah. It begins and it soon ends. And when it ends, because we are always seeking permanent pleasure, permanent happiness, when it ends, then it again makes us sad, unhappy, because we have lost that happiness. So that happiness, though it excites us, but that happiness, when it goes away from us, then it brings us a lot of pain again. So adi antavanta kaunteya na teshu ramata buddha. That's why an intelligent person does not delight in such experiences. That doesn't mean that such person will not have such experiences. That doesn't mean that that person doesn't see good sights with the eyes or smells good thing with the nose, hears good sound. It doesn't mean like that. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't taste good food. What it means is that person doesn't delight in those experiences. There's a difference. We are not running away from those sense objects. Naturally, the senses, they need some kind of fulfillment. So we give the sense objects to the senses. But an intelligent person does not consider those experiences as the experience of real happiness. Okay, it's there, it is there. But it is not something which is to be considered as of prime importance. That happiness is not of very high level. So a person, instead of running after that happiness and considering that happiness as the only goal of life, works for experiencing a higher level of happiness. Not this happiness which is born of contact of the senses with the sense objects. It is there, it will be there, but a person, intelligent person, does not delight in them, does not find them so tasteful, doesn't find them so meaningful. Rather than that, they go for a higher level of happiness. So this happiness is not really happiness. It is just short-lived experience of some kind of pleasure, some stimulation. So we learn this thing from this verse. Yes, Nikita Madhusudana, you wanted to try the verse, you can try now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आदि अन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः.
Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so The verse is like this: Ye samsparsha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adi antavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not partake or take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So we end here. There, Mataji, do you have a question or a comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Harish.
I want to ask if someone, can we delight in tasting prashadam?
Yes, can delight.
Is it wrong? Or
It's not wrong if it is taken as prasadam. If it is honored as prasadam, it's not wrong. And one should delight in all kinds of prasadam, not that only some kind of prasadam. Means if it is prasadam, then everything should be taken as prasadam. Not only things which we like, so always more than other things, or which stimulates us more than other things. Everything should be taken as prasadam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu, how do we elevate ourselves to that level? I mean, it's very, very natural that we kind of enjoy whatever senses come in contact with the material objects. So, I mean, how do we elevate ourselves to a higher level?
By knowledge and by experience, both. We already have an experience of this thing, and we have experienced that such pleasures, they end up in distress. So by knowledge, in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna uses a particular word called udasinvat. Udasin means being neutral. And what it means is, if we come across an experience of happiness, it's not that we become frustrated that why am I now happy? No, there's nothing wrong in being happy. The point is that we don't become overexcited about it. If it's there, it's there. If it's not there, not a botheration. If it's there, fine, I accept it. But I'm not overexcited about it. If it's not present, then I am not morose about it, right? It has come by Krishna's mercy, I accept it. If it won't be there, that's okay. So that's called udasin, be neutral or indifferent towards such pleasures. Such pleasures will always exist, because as soon as something nice is put in the mouth, then the tongue tastes that, isn't it? If it's summer season and a cool breeze blows over you, then you feel that sensation and gives some kind of pleasure. So such pleasure will always exist as long as we're in the material world. The point is that we should not become too much excited about it.
Okay, Prabhu, it's basically being detached with those. Is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah, being
we should
detached.
experience it only as an experience and not get attached to that.
Correct. And we should not overly desire that. Okay, if it's there, it's there. If it's not there, it's okay.
Okay.
But it's not that we have to become it's not that we have to become cynical about it, that, oh, why happiness is coming to me. No, nothing like that. If happiness is there, it's there. It's there.
Okay.
Accept it.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All right, we'll end here. Thank you all very much. See you on Monday again. We'll be doing the last verse of Bhagavad-gita, chapter 5 in